Good afternoon. This is 1295 Laurel Lane. I'm Rich Littlefield with Peak Log Home Restoration. We're doing an inspection on the logs, and we'll give you an idea of things that you can do, things that we might suggest. Overall, the cabin is in great shape. There's nothing that I would immediately be concerned about that would cause me to think that you shouldn't buy it or make an offer. I would try to keep the logs probably with their current character. We have a clear coat product that could go on those and provide some extra protection. In this corner over here, on either side of this chimney, I would recommend we put a couple borate rods in these lower logs, which basically mean if they absorb any moisture, it prevents them from rotting. This joint here that you'll notice, this has over the years, or maybe soon after it was built even, sagged down a little. It seems stable, but it has bound this window. If you want a working window, you can easily take this apart, put a support on each side called a butt, and then size another window into it. If you aren't worried about that, you can just have the glass replaced, like I think somebody mentioned, and continue on. There is a sill here that needs to be finished out. It sort of has like a piece of trim in there or something, but I would address that with a solid sill, because if you get a bunch of water there continuously, you're going to end up with some rot. And then we'll continue around this way. Again, big overhangs and everything, which are really important for a log home. This corner at the bottom right here, you can see a little bit of weathering. Again, we will put borate rods in here, and that'll keep any moisture from turning into rot. As you continue around the house, this big overhang is keeping everything really nice, solid, and dry. The mortar that is used for the chinking between the logs is tight and adhered well almost everywhere. It's original type mortar, not necessarily original to when the house was built, but it is not acrylic stretchy mortar. It's done the old-fashioned way with the concrete mortar and Portland cement. This corner has a little bit of a curve or bow to it, but with the dovetails, that's original. In other words, it was stacked that way. It's not something that happened recently. And it's really, really solid. Dovetail corners are extremely strong. You have a decent overhang here. There's a little bit of an issue maybe under this window with a few little pieces of cedar coming loose, and then this other piece of trim. If you look underneath here, this trim could probably come off, and then some of that cedar needs to be shot in again with some exterior grade trim nails. The cedar could be washed, or it could be left that way if you like the way it looks. Either way, it's going to last a long time because it has a decent overhang. Continuing on around, again, this is all in pretty good shape. The addition, not the new addition that's got cedar siding on it, but this other addition might have been done at the point when they built the house. It might not have. It's kind of hard to tell. The style is a little bit different, and the logs are a little bit different, so I think it was afterwards. But this is in decent shape. There's some checking up there under cover, but that's not really an issue. Only an issue if you get splash damage. There's some splash damage on this log. I would recommend cutting these back a little bit further, maybe trying to keep a good 3 to 4 feet. There's some splash damage right here. This is damp. It's not really rotten, but I would get these cut back and let this dry out, because what you're getting is the overhang's big enough. You're getting water that comes off this splashing on these plants and then splashing over onto the wall. It's only the very bottom one. We can put some borate rods, but then I would be a little more aggressive about cutting these back, because you really need airflow against the bottom courses. Let's continue around this side. Really nice and dry. Bottom course is set well off the ground, 3 or 4 feet. Wonderful. An adequate overhang. And then you get into the cedar siding. And again, this is in decent shape, but you can see this is a good idea of splash damage and how it happens. This is the little mini split. Notice how the water is coming off here and then splashing onto the wall. And if you pan to the right here, you'll see that it's dry over here, and it only gets wet right where this is. So instead of it going to the ground, splashing on the foundation, it splashes on here. You'll have to replace a few of these. You may, nope, it's tight behind the Tyvek, but you may consider doing a little gutter or possibly extending the overhang right here to keep the splash damage from continuing to happen in this spot. That's fairly minor though. I'd be pretty happy if that was at my place. And then the overhang here is just adequate, but also there's not a lot of probably rain, I guess, from this angle. Again, I would work at keeping these cut back. There could be a little bit of moisture damage here. We've had a lot of rain recently. This is not wet, but it's rust from some staples that were used. You may have some of these sills gone over. These are pieced in. I would really prefer a 2x6 cut on a bevel for a sill. This is probably going to eventually be an issue, but nothing that's of big concern right now. And that's our walk around.
I almost wish I could follow you.